this. Okay guys, it is time for a moment I know we have all been waiting for. Or it might just be me. Not sure, it's fine. I am going to be doing an ARC review today of Sarah Hogle's latest book, Twice Shy, and I am so excited. So if you haven't heard me talk about Sarah Hogle yet, you've missed quite a few reviews. I reviewed Sarah Hogle's debut novel last year. It was called You Deserve Each Other, and it was a beautifully hilarious, read all night, laugh hysterically book about a couple who was engaged, and all of a sudden they realize really close to the date of their wedding that they don't love each other really, that they actually don't like each other, and they want to call the whole thing off. But the problem is that whoever calls off the wedding is on the hook for all of the deposits and stuff that are now non-refundable. So it's hilarious, it's crazy. I talked about it ad nauseum, and then it was one of my top 5 books of last year, which was an incredible feat considering that I read like 265-ish books last year. So when I say that Twice Shy was exciting and that the bar was really high for this book, I mean it. So I received Twice Shy as an ARC from Edelweiss for free for my honest opinion. And again, going into it, I was really, really worried. And I have to say up front, I had a kind of big issue with the ARC, which is that there were weird words that were hyphenated. I think because like in the normal book when it's released, those books or those words will need to be hyphenated so that it all formats properly. But they were just like multiple words every page on my phone that were hyphenated for... My cat's being weird today. That were hyphenated for absolutely no reason. So let me just put that out there as something that I think really just kept interrupting my reading flow, but is not a reflection on the book at all. It's just a reflection of the fact that it's an ARC. So that won't be an issue, but I do feel like it's only fair to put that out there because I think that it might have impacted my flow of reading. So Twice Shy is the story of Maybelle Parrish, a girl who is mostly out on her own after having a really crazy childhood with her mom. Her mom had Maybelle when she was 15 and has just on her own struggling to get her life together. And so Maybelle has just been searching and searching for a sense of permanence. Her mom kind of plucked her out of the nest when she was old enough to do so, because she, felt that she had a kid too young and didn't want the responsibility of continuing to raise said kid. And Maybelle has been working for a number of years at this amusement park hotel thingy. And she has, for most of those years, been a housekeeper. At the beginning of Twice Shy, she has been promoted to co-event coordinator. You find out that she was given this promotion not necessarily because of how long she's worked there, but because the owner's daughter catfished her for months and made her believe that she was in a relationship with a man named Jack, who just turned out to be this girl catfishing her to get Maybelle away from a real guy that the owner's daughter had a crush on. Never actually gets together with, just ends up screwing Maybelle. And so the promotion is kind of like just be quiet. So yeah, that's not fun. And that kind of rolls out in the first part of the book and you're like, what? It felt very fantastical and a little bit crazy. And I was just like, this is a really weird opening setup for this book as something that has already happened by the time it starts. But okay, I'm into this, I'm settled in. So at a certain point in the book, right at the beginning, Maybelle finds out that her great aunt Violet has died. And her great aunt has left her house. And Maybelle lived with her aunt for one summer and remembers this amazing, gigantic mansion with huge lawns and tons of land. And Maybelle's like, are you serious? She left that all to me? Can I move in like today? So Maybelle just like totally leaves this job that never really appreciated her and these friends who really just treated her poorly and pops off to go live in her brand new mansion. Except when she gets there, she finds out that her great aunt left only half the mansion to her and left the other half to her very, very surly but hunky groundskeeper named Wesley, who happens to be Mabel's age. Wonder where this is going, right? Wesley is your quintessential grumpy McGrump, outdoorsy, where Mabel is not so much. Not that she's like super girly either, but he's, you know, wants to turn the manor into a farm animal sanctuary because he was also led to believe that he was inheriting the whole thing. He didn't know that he'd have to split it. And Mabel finds some past postcards that feature this manor and finds out that it used to be a hotel, and Mabel's always wanted to open her own hotel. She would have been great at being an event coordinator if they had actually let her, which they didn't. So they argue, they have different views for the whole thing, and they end up basically saying, okay, Mabel, you can have the first floor and the ballroom and like 5 rooms, and then Wesley gets the top. And so they have to clean it out. Her great aunt became a super hoarder in her old age, and there's a lot of work that has to be done to make this place livable again, but they're like, I will just put up with you, and then we'll both have our dream together, but separate. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's enemies to lovers, but they definitely have a little bit of a rivalry going on, and the other person doesn't know quite what to make of the other. Especially because Wesley is the photo that was used to catfish Mabel. He doesn't really know the people at her old job at all. He just ran into the owner's daughter at a store one day, and she tried to flirt with him and he did not flirt back. So she like cyber stalked him and then used him as the photo. So there's like this extra layer of like that weird thing that I was like, why is this already over? Coming back to weirdly haunt Mabel. And, you know, she imagined herself to be in a relationship with Jack, aka Wesley, and now he's just kind of running around in front of her, being much more hunky in 3D and reality, but having a much worse attitude. So Mabel's great aunt, and by extension her great uncle, who has been dead for quite a bit of time prior to this, turns out that they really like scavenger hunts and just weird messages. Her aunt has left her some challenges to do, and for example, she asks Mabel to paint a mural in the ballroom. It's one of her final requests. Mabel doesn't paint, but it turns out Wesley's an artist. The great aunt asks Wesley to make donuts and have a movie night. Wesley does not bake, but it turns out Mabel loves to make donuts. So as you can see, there is some matchmaking going on from beyond the grave. So clearly her great aunt had plans when she doled out the inheritance like this. One of the best things about this novel is watching the two of them grow to, I don't even want to say like each other, because I think it's pretty clear from the beginning that there are parts of each other's personality that they like, but they don't know how to interact with each other. Wesley is a loner who, it comes out later, has pretty severe social anxiety, and so meeting new people, being stuck in tight places with them, conversation, it's very difficult for him. Whereas Mabel doesn't want to be alone, and she constantly wants to be in communication or trying to make connections, and so they're both separate people who both need things from the other person for this relationship, just the friendship, that the other is not quite comfortable giving. So Mabel has to learn to give Wesley space and how to react when he just, is too much for his social anxiety and he needs to like take a breath. And Wesley has to learn to reach across to her. And that was really, really sweet and wonderful. I wish I could tell you what my favorite part, which is the ending. And it's one of those things where you're watching this relationship grow and grow and grow and grow. And I've talked about this previously. I also have social anxiety, but I have definitely seen some books that deal with anxiety, whether social or not, and it's taken away by the power of love, and it's just really annoying because you can love someone very, very much and still have to handle your anxiety. It's a mental health issue, not something that you can just go magic wand and it disappears. And ending of this book is one of the most realistic, like Wesley trying to manage his social anxiety and trying to, reach across and still having to deal with issues. And the thing in the end is not, learning how to deal with his social anxiety. It comes back to Maybelle learning to love him the way he is, and him learning how to love her the way that she also needs to be loved and for who she is. And guys, I loved this book. And I mean, people say it's like, oh, it's a heartwarming story. Like, my heart actually felt warm. Like, I finished reading it and I actually felt warm and fuzzies. And I mean, I love reading romance novels. That's why I read them, because I love the affirmation and the happy ending. But this was just like, it was like an extra level of just the warm and the fuzzies. I will say that it's not as good as You Deserve Each Other for me. There were definitely some funny moments, but it wasn't as consistently funny. And Maybelle has this thing where she has a whole world in her head that she tries to exist in. I also create magical worlds in my head, don't get me wrong. So I really thought that this would be resonate with me as someone who also just totally tells reality to bugger off and, writes scenes or books in my head. But there was something about it that never quite worked for me. And I don't know if it was just written funny or if I really couldn't even tell you. It just every single time Maybelle went off into her head world, I was just ugh. I just started kind of skipping. There's nothing wrong with it, and it ends up making a really cute plot thing happen later, but it just didn't work for me. And with that and the weird hyphens, which are not the story's fault at all, it's not as good as You Deserve Each Other, I don't think. But I think that it is proof that this wonderful, tension, complicated relationship that was one of my favorite parts of You Deserve Each Other is amazing in Twice Shy. Sarah Hogle has this amazing ability to create a heartwarming story in the sense that it really does fill me with joy. And Twice Shy had the extra layer of mental health, which was really, really just wonderfully done. And so I would also say that if you didn't like You Deserve Each Other for whatever reason, I've also seen some other reviews that say people who didn't like that book like this one better. So I think that there is something in You Deserve Each Other that's amazing. There's something in Twice Shy that's amazing. And if you didn't like You Deserve Each Other, I would still maybe check out Twice Shy. It's a little bit funky. I can't believe I like Sarah Hogle when she doesn't do the multiple point of view. I find that most books that don't have a point of view for both love interests are no-goes for me. That is not what happens with Sarah Hogle, which I can't believe. There's a moment when an author either just has a book you love or becomes an instant buy author who from now on you will purchase every single thing they've ever written. And Sarah Hogle has moved from the author of one of my favorite books to an instant buy author that I just, after this book, even though I didn't like it as much, I have faith that she will just consistently turn out stories that are just an extra caliber of wonderful. So that is my review for Twice Shy by Sarah Hogle. It is out on April 6th, so go get it. Go get it from your library, whatever it is, and enjoy the fluffy butterflies. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.